Hi guys, welcome back to Juicy Reacts. Today we have a part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, I will try and remember to link part 1 below.
Not gonna happen.
But this is Geography Now Philippines. We really enjoyed the first part.
It's probably one of my favourite videos I've ever reacted to, from part 1 anyway.
Definitely, really cool video.
If you've got any more suggestions of reaction videos you want us to watch, videos you want us to react to, I always get that the wrong way around, please feel free to go and follow us over on Instagram, send us a DM, and that's where we look for our new reaction videos to film.
Yes. All right, we're gonna get straight into this one. We're halfway through, we're at 9 minutes 15 for editing purposes. 3, 2, 1.
Now, only in the Philippines can you find people that have Spanish names, speak English, celebrate an Austronesian culture, and cook Chinese.
General MacArthur once said, "Give me 1,000 Filipino soldiers and I will conquer the world."
Yeah, for some reason, Filipinos are like the best friends of Asia. Filipinos still have the best attitudes and smiles. They even give time off felony sentences if the prisoners volunteer to take part in a Michael Jackson dance performance to the public.
I didn't know it should come with that sentence.
No, I didn't know that.
The graph. The country has about 110 million people and is the 8th most populated country in Asia and the 12th most populated country in the world.
Wow.
There are about
12th in the world.
175 linguistic people groups in the Philippines, the majority of whose languages are Austronesian.
Of these groups, the largest ones are the Tagalog at about 28%, 13% are Cebuano, 9% are Ilocano, and 8% are Bisaya. The rest are made up of other groups plus a small minority of non-native citizens, mostly Asians and Americans.
It's important to note, though, that the Philippines has about 10.2 million people overseas worldwide. It is one of the largest diaspora populations, spanning over 100 countries. The US alone has about 4 million.
I mean, they were at one point colonized by the US, so go figure.
They use the Filipino peso as their currency, they use the types A, B, and C plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road.
Very informative
keep in
video,
mind, the
isn't
word
it?
It's really
Pinoy
good.
is synonymous with something that is Filipino. You might see that used a lot.
Now back to the ethnic groups thing. Since there are over 175 of them, you would think, how do they all communicate?
Well, the Philippines has 2 official languages. English, which makes them the 5th most English-speaking nation on Earth, and Filipino, which is the standardized version of Tagalog.
You can hear that
Philippine
sizzling.
Tagalog
That's our
language
lunch,
spoken
because
today
in the
is a
previous
very
video we got
different
really
from
hungry,
pure
so
Tagalog.
we
It
decided
actually
to make
has
some
about
food.
14%
Sorry.
Spanish, 10% Malay, and 7%
gonna keep an
English
eye on
mixed
it.
into it with a slew of other borrowed loan words. You can see the influence in words like pintalador, guapo, zapatos,
Guapo.
and pamilya. Often, Filipinos will substitute an F with a P.
Or a V with a B.
Or a V with a B.
Yeah, same with Koreans, actually. Yeah. High five with minimal consonants.
Yay!
Oh, and fun fact, Ken taught me this. In Tagalog, you can actually say an entire conversation just using the syllable ba. For example,
Ba, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba.
That's like that thing that's going around on
ba, ba,
Facebook.
Ba ba,
ba, ba 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 ba.
ba ba ba.
Well, that was fun. Otherwise, in Visayas,
You can do that in
Mindanao
French
area,
as well.
Cebuano is a common language, as well as the other regional tongues like Waray and Daboeno.
They even have the only Spanish-based Creole in Asia, Chavacano, located in Zamboanga City. Now, the Philippines is unique in that over a past few centuries, they've gone through 3 periods that shaped their identity.
Before European intervention, the Philippines has had a multitude of early civilizations that built kingdoms and dynasties like the Tondo, the Namayan, the Pangasinan, and the Sulu Sultanate.
Many of these kingdoms had their own indigenous writing system, such as
Kingdoms.
the Babayan,
I love the word kingdom.
Eskaya, and Kulitan.
Genetically, Filipinos are classified as belonging to the broader Austronesian people group, with their closest cousins being the Micronesians, like the Mariana Islanders, Guam, and Palau.
Although over the years,
Cool.
many people have mixed, and today it is speculated that somewhere around 1/5 or more of the population may have some kind of Chinese ancestry. After the Spanish
Wow,
came
that's
in,
a
they
big
adopted
percentage.
many of the customs, traditions, and cultural traits which have Spanish roots. Their own country is named after Spanish King Philip. The biggest trait, though, would be the fact that they are predominantly Catholic, at about 81% of the population adhering to the faith.
The rest are mostly Protestant, with a small Muslim minority in the South Mindanao area.
The Philippines is the largest Christian nation in Asia, 5th largest Christian nation on Earth, and 3rd largest Catholic nation after Brazil and Mexico.
They have so many holidays and festivals devoted to Catholic themes, like All Saints Day, Holy Week, and Easter, and of course, the largest one, Christmas.
The Philippines has the longest Christmas
Christmas is,
season out of
yeah,
anywhere else
huge
on
here.
Earth.
Okay, so now we're just gonna rapid fire a list of 12 fun cultural facts for the Philippines.
Okay, here we go.
Filipinos have a ton of superstitions. For example, whistling at night will turn you into a werewolf.
For formal occasions, you may
Didn't
see
know that.
Filipinos wearing traditional barongs for men and Maria
I'd
Clara
love to
or
wear
mestiza
them.
dresses for
We
women.
should
There are many
totally,
other
Don't get
I don't
some.
know, how do
costumes
we
and
do
customs
that?
for the other 170 ethnic groups. Too many to cover, but it goes everywhere, from feathers, coconut fibers, hair dresses, tribal tattoos, and so on.
Speaking of which, the Philippines dominates major international beauty pageants with a grand
That is
total
true.
of 15 victories at the Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, and Miss Earth
Crazy.
competitions.
Basketball and boxing are the most popular sport by by far. They have the oldest basketball league in Asia and the second oldest in the world
didn't
after
know
the
that.
United States. And come on, we all know Pacquiao.
The Philippines is the leading nation to train and export nurses abroad. It's been said at one point, every Filipino has
We
their
learned about that.
should I just drop everything and become a nurse moment in their life crisis.
That's a fact. I've had those. And the word balikbayan means returner or returning family. It is used when someone comes back from expat work abroad.
You might hear the honorific title of po or opal for elders, and a lot of people often raise the backs of the hands of their elders to their forehead as a sign of respect and say, bless.
In the Philippines, you have your name and you have your Pinoy nickname, and they get really weird and creative. Pepsi, Bing Bong, Jelly Boy, Pinky, Bum Bum, and Earl.
Every
Bum Bum.
Filipino on every
Jelly
island
Boy.
in every
Bum Bum and
region
Jelly
That's
Boy,
hilarious.
that's
That's
us.
are
us.
obsessed with karaoke.
Yeah,
the first
that's
karaoke
true.
machine was actually patented
Yes,
by
we
a
learned
Filipino,
that.
Roberto del Rosario,
Legend, what a hero.
also Japanese
Such a
inventor.
hero.
The gift he gave to the world.
Obviously, that means music is a big deal in the Philippines. Besides taking modern cues from American pop, they also have traditional styles. Instruments include things like gudyapi, kilitang, gimbal, kubing, and togali.
In addition, there are many different styles of dance, but the most famous one considered the national dance is tinikling, a dance done
That's
between
We've seen
two
people
so
do that, haven't we?
stressful.
bamboo
It looks
poles
so
that clap
difficult.
together as
I would
dust
fall over,
rolls,
I would
and the
smash
dancers
my
move their
face.
feet in and out in the spaces
So
before getting hit
clever.
or tripped.
Now,
I'd love
on
to
a
try
bit of a
it.
more objective note, we do have to talk about some of the controversies.
The Philippines is beautiful, but if you've been keeping up with current events, they do have their fair share of issues that have made headlines. We don't sugarcoat everything here.
Human trafficking, whether in the sex industry, slavery, or organ smuggling, has been a problem in certain areas. And even though anti-trafficking acts have been passed by the government, enforcement has not always been on par.
The drug trade has also been a major inconvenience for decades, affecting millions of people in the country. This has led to the new controversial laws instituted by President Duarte, which encouraged the public to seek bounty in exchange for hunting down drug pushers. Many have died in the process.
And finally, you have the Moro conflict, an insurgency in the predominantly Muslim Mindanao region, which sought to take parts of eastern Malaysia and break away through conflict. The fight has been going on for nearly half a century, and now it's just ending at the turn of the 21st century.
Kind of.
For what it's worth, though, in the Philippines, everyone is family at the end. You don't have to be related to anyone to call someone ate or kuya.
True,
There's
we've
even
been
a
called
word,
that.
paeni,
Yep.
which means something like
And we've also
helping
had a
one
few
another through
Tita and
community spirit
Titos as
without
well.
expecting anything in return. In any case, we gotta finish off this segment with history.
Austronesians.
Tribal kingdoms and sultanates.
This guy came to the islands.
Catholicism.
I feel like taking a
Lapu-Lapu
test after
and
this
Magellan
video.
dies in battle.
5 Spanish dudes followed through.
They finally become a colony of Spain.
The galleon trade.
British Philippines.
And then back to Spain. The Treaty of Paris.
Philippine Revolution.
The Spanish-American War.
First Philippine Republic. Philippine-American War.
American occupation.
World War II, Japan invades.
So
American
much
push them back.
history.
Finally, Philippine independence.
Ferdinand Marcos turned from president to dictator.
Martial law.
This guy gets killed because he was against the regime.
People Power Revolution in 1986.
Growth from agricultural society to an industrial one.
And here we are today. And now we finish off with the notable famous people condensed. Some famous people you guys, the Pinoy geography, suggested we mention in this episode.
Ooh, let's see if we know.
Lapu-Lapu.
Jose Rizal. These
Yeah.
two saints.
Melchora Aquino.
Manuel L. Quezon.
Lacan Dula. Josefa Yanes Escoda. And Vicente Lim.
Carlos Peña Romulo.
And all the Miss
And
Universe
Nicole
winners. There's a
Scherzinger.
ton of Americans with Filipino or
She's
partial
not there.
Filipino descent.
Yeah, you can see there's lots of American Filipinos. Those two get along pretty tight.
We'll explain more on how that happened in...
Friend
Friend
zone.
zone.
Because of the long history...
That's
of
why I was
the
in with you for
Philippines
a little while.
I'm
major
turning
Western
lunch.
powerhouse,
Tell me what happened.
It would make sense that it would have ties with the outside world
Finally.
in many different ways.
For friends, the Philippines is generally close with all the ASEAN nations and does great business with them, particularly Indonesia and Malaysia, their closest neighbors.
The Marshall Islands, Palau, and the federal states of Micronesia are all cousin countries, many of which have Filipino migrants in them. And they all share the same history of being former U.S. territories and U.S.-influenced states.
Of course, Spain will always be in the back of their minds as the former colonizer that they gained much influence from.
They were just
Although
talking about
Filipinos
history.
are not
Okay.
considered Latino, the Spanish and many Latin Americans kind of see them as like the adopted Asians that totally fit in their family. It's like, come on, you're Catholic, you eat flan, every fifth word you speak is Spanish, you're basically one of us.
Interestingly enough, the relationship with Mexico has historically been always strong. The Philippines was ruled under a Mexico-based viceroyalty of New Spain. The Manila galleons were Spanish trading ships, which for 2.5 centuries linked the Philippines with Mexico across the Pacific Ocean, making 1 or 2 round-trip voyages per year between the ports of Acapulco and Manila. And Mexican traditions were brought in like the Day of the Dead and Champorado.
When it comes to their best friends, however, most Filipinos would probably say, even though colonial years were a little bit bumpy, ultimately the USA and South Korea.
South Korea was one of their closest best friends from the 20th century on. World War II really bonded
is so much
them after the
information
Japanese
coming in.
occupation years,
Yeah.
and they supported each other
So I remember that.
diplomatically.
Hard to
Koreans are the
remember,
top
isn't
number
it?
one tourist demographic that visit the Philippines. Koreans kind of admire the fact that even though they were both influenced by the US, Filipinos speak better English, whereas Filipinos practically obsess over Korean products and media.
Us.
That's why we're...
For the USA, ties were closed ever since they became their colony in 1898. The US also had the largest number of overseas Filipinos at over 4 million, most of whom live on the West Coast states like Hawaii and California. They are one of the oldest Asian partners of the US. They have a mutual defense treaty, and they are the largest export partner and second largest import after China.
American pop culture dominates much of the youth influence. Hollywood studios love filming there, and Gallup polls have shown that the USA is favored on average by over 90% of the people asked, making it one of the most pro-American countries on the planet. And Ken, you take the conclusion.
In conclusion, if you enter a room full of Asians, you definitely know who the Filipinos are. While everyone's so uptight, we're the ones singing karaoke and somersaulting. You could just feel the energy of a Filipino. There's a touch of Latin flavor with American pop undertones. But in the end, no matter what island, you're immediately considered part of the Pinoy family.
Ken, you're one of my best friends. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
Cool.
Stay tuned. Poland. It's coming up next.
Poland. All right, that was a really good video. I love that. It got, the first half was awesome. As we say, if you haven't seen that reaction video, go and check it out.
Really cool.
But that was cool. There's a lot of information there at the end, so I was like trying to concentrate and remember it. But we love learning about the history of the Philippines. Really awesome.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoy it. Give us a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll see you in the next
Juicy Reacts. Bye.